Hey everyone, good morning. Happy Monday. Holy cow. It's Monday morning. Jeff, this is going to be a good Monday. We have a lot of teachers officially in the midst,
Yeah.
getting back to the classroom. We have a ton in store on this Monday. I am here obviously with the almighty Mr. Jeff Gargas. So you know there's going to be shenanigans. Go grab your cup of coffee. We're going to start off with our Monday morning daily drop-in cheers that we do every single Monday. And to be honest, like Monday through Friday at 7 a.m. Eastern, now that Daily Drop-In is back full time. So we'll be right back here in a second and get ready for some fun. Good morning. Good morning. Hey, Jeff, how you doing?
I'm great. Good morning. I like you. You got the you're rocking an orange today.
Ooh, I know. I have a new coffee cup, and I could make up a reason on why
it's like a cone type looking. I like the design. I like the design.
Very fancy. I don't think I've ever drank out of this coffee cup. You know, have you ever bought something and you're like, I don't know if it's art or something usable? That's kind of what this is. I have two of them, but I had no coffee cups left, and I didn't wash them. So
oddly enough, that's actually the same question that goes through my head every time I hang out with Chad Ostrowski. I'm like, is this art? Or is this just a human? I don't know. I never know.
You're the biggest nerd ever. I love seeing the good morning messages come in. Good morning. We'll do a morning cheers to all of you. We hope you have a wonderful day.
By the way, I am drinking my bourbon barrel coffee that the team got me for my birthday. I'm almost out. I've been pounding it. It is.
Can we confirm, Jeff, that doesn't mean that you're having a adult beverage at 6 a.m. It just is coffee that has a flavoring to it?
No, so there's no alcohol in it, although a little bit of bourbon here would be really good.
No.
It is actually, so what they do is they store the before they roast the fruits and the beans, they actually store them in bourbon barrels. So barrels that they use to age bourbon, then they store all the beans in there, so it gets that little bit of, you get a little bit of a bourbon taste. It's really smooth. Just it's good.
You know what? I'm happy you're happy.
I'm happy. Yeah. I'm happy that Brad's here and Katie's here and Debbie's here. I'm really excited about everyone who's listening on the podcast right now, which if you are, thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening.
Whatever time it is, it's early for us right now, but it might be late for you. It might be tomorrow for you, for all we know.
Wow, that's amazing.
That's the cool stuff, right? We may be in tomorrow at this point.
Okay, technology is crazy, but it's also 6 a.m. for me, so that seems like a really big conversation.
A little too much for your head right now. Yeah, I get it.
But we will say good morning. Good morning. Yes, I mean, we are doing this every single day, Monday through Friday at 7 a.m. Eastern. So Jeff right now is currently enjoying it, the 7 o'clock start. It's 6:30 for me, so I am really valuing this beautiful cup of coffee that I have right now. I got on to this live stream right before we went live with Jeff, and I was like, hey, Jeff, like, good morning. How you doing? And I was like, to be honest, my alarm, like, I messed up my alarm this morning. I'm running a little behind. And Jeff goes, oh, that's weird. I've already run a 5K this morning. And I'm like, screw you, dude. Screw you. Yep.
Well, I mean, to be fair, it was later for me, so I got up at 4:30 this morning.
So you're saying that if I woke up and didn't have daily drop-in, I too would have run a 5K?
I think it's safe to say that you would have.
Wow, that would be really wonderful.
Which is why I think you schedule yourself for so many daily drop-ins. You're like, oh, I was going to run this morning, but I can't. I got to do daily drop-in.
Yeah, Brienne is already saying she did her CrossFit workout already. So power to you. Of
course she did. Brienne probably already did 3 CrossFit workouts this morning, just because.
Anyway. I do want to celebrate. I mean, I know that we kind of kicked off daily drop-in, this like second life of daily drop-in where we get to go live every single morning. To kind of start off all of your mornings, to say hello and do a morning cheers as a family, right? And just kind of have these moments to get us ready for an incredible day. But on the flip side, I mean, I guess it was kind of exciting that we started in August, but a lot of educators weren't really needing to be up this early. They were still on
Not
summer
quite
break.
yet. Yeah.
I feel like this week is kind of where I'm seeing a lot of conversation where I mean, I know that there were teachers back last week. We got a lot of messages from all of you. We so appreciate that you were here with us. But this week and next week, at least in the Midwest, from what I've been seeing, there are a lot of schools back for new teacher support or institute days, or some districts I know we even work with have students coming back this week.
Yeah. Yeah, that's my kids go back next Thursday.
Man.
Let me ask you, because I'm not a teacher, so apparently I don't remember other years. I don't know. I'm going to claim that this is the first year my kids went to school.
This is your first time ever.
First time ever in school. But
yep.
like, is it no? Like we don't find out who my kids' teachers are until 2 days before they start school. Is that weird? That to me is really weird. Like, we should get that info earlier, in my opinion. Well, I don't know why though, because I'm like, does it really matter? I'm sending them to the same school no matter what. Like, I really don't care what they do after they get there. That's up to you guys. Like,
yeah, it's interesting. I feel like I've had a lot of conversations around this recently, actually, but I don't know if my conversations are state specific, because I talk about this a lot with Illinois districts.
Yeah.
So my experience,
basically the same state.
What?
They're basically the same state. So.
Well, I know, but I don't know if there's like different states have a different timeline. So in the comments, if you guys could please like throw in your thoughts. So from my understanding, all principals do scheduling in the month of June, or whoever does scheduling in the school district. Obviously, that's different district to district, which means then technically end of July, August is what I am familiar with people getting their schedules. Mm-hmm. If they're in high school and middle school, they're kind of getting their schedules with their teachers at the beginning of August, late July. Elementary school, they're getting those teachers. I wonder if it's so late this year because there has been a lot of still like new elements that we need to figure out because
unknown still. Yeah.
With COVID. So
yeah, I mean, I
wonder if it's anything related to virtual options or staffing issues. I mean, I can't tell you how many principals I've had call me within the past week looking for specific roles that are still vacant positions in their buildings.
Well, looking in the comments, so Alex says, is it weird? Yes. Is it normal? Also, yes. Brand says they find the same day that the kids do. So she, as a teacher, finds out the same day that they do. Megan's daughter or child is released on Monday, gets the teacher's info and starts Wednesday. I doubt it's state to state. I bet my guess is if you went to the next district over here from me, it's probably different.
Yeah.
If I've learned anything in my last 6 or so years working with districts is that literally no district does anything the same. The only thing that might be the same is that there's people. That's it. And I don't even know if that's actually accurate. There's probably some districts where that's not true.
I think it's exciting to be able to get your teacher early. It's exciting to prepare for the year. I don't know so much that it matters. Like it doesn't matter. You were like, oh, we're still going to the same school regardless of the teacher. I do think though, the day that you get to know your teacher's name is a day that it feels like school's coming. So you see all the back to school stuff. You're buying all the supplies, which you probably have to do before 2 days beforehand, depending on the type of planner that you are. And I think like getting the teacher's name makes it real. That's a very special moment to be able to say, oh my gosh, I got into, like Miss Fennell's class. It's like a big moment.
Yeah, I think you're right. Speaking of school shopping, just because my daughter Jacqueline, who is 7 going into second grade. she's got control of the supply list, and like what we need and what we bought and what we still need to buy. And like, she's done this really great job this summer of making that like a thing she does with grandma. Oh. So both grandmas have bought most of the supplies, which Amy and I are like, this is great. She should do this every year. So that's my daughter. Anyway, we're excited. It's exciting.
I think that, there's always a phase throughout the summer where you're like, ooh, I'm not ready for school. I'm not ready. I actually had a conversation with somebody yesterday that was talking about Sunday jitters, which is something that I want to get into asking you about a little later in, not in our next segment, but after that, Jeff, I want to get your opinion of that. But I think the reality is like, we are finally officially in August, right? We're in the second week of August. And I really love for our mindsets. If you haven't yet changed your mindset and you're listening, I think this is an exciting time that our mindsets will start to shift from, oh man, summer's ending to, oh my gosh, the school year's finally here. And I really am excited to see that shift because I think educators become really incredible creative minds when we start thinking about the fact that school's coming. And it's a really, it's exciting. So I can't wait. Hey, Jeff, before we get into me asking you about Sunday jitters, which I know that you have some opinions on, I was thinking that maybe we'd start with some good news first.
I thought for sure we'd go on the weather. All right, we can do good news. Let's do good news.
I know. Sorry. Do you want to share the weather right now? I can tell you in Illinois, we have scattered showers all day.
We are bright and sunny. I got sunshine all the way, at least up to 10 a.m., which is what my watch shows. It's currently 68 degrees. Gonna get up to 90 today.
Wow.
Got up to 88, 80, 86, 88. Yesterday was great. It's supposed to be beautiful today here in Ohio. So if you're in Illinois, consider making the drive over. It's not that bad. 6-7 hours, depending on where you come into, and we got sunshine and heat all day. So,
great to know. No matter where you live, just FYI, it's going to be sunny. According to
I'm getting a report in my ear that in Chicago it's windy.
Oh, really?
And hold on, and in Toronto it's cold.
Oh, amazing! Wow, you should go pro, dude.
I should totally go pro. Yes, and
let's get to some good news. So here's the problem. And I know you were going to cut me off with some witty line that you were going to have about how wonderful it is to see me. However, I have an issue with our good news today. And if it was any other guest, I would know exactly what article to pick. But because it's you, I've been struggling all stinking morning. So thank you for that.
Okay. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you should be sorry.
I don't know what I did yet, though. Why are you struggling because it's me?
Well, because...
Are you afraid that I don't want good news? I want like bad news? Or...
No, I'm sorry, you confused. This is like our good news segment. It's not optional. It's not like, hey,
it has to be
okay news. Like that's not.
So do you have too many to choose from, or is it because what you really want to share is that the good news of today is the fact that I'm on Daily Drop-In? Is that why you're struggling? Because you're like, I really want to share this thing about this person, but Jeff's here, and that's kind of the good news, and it's going to overtake everything.
It's not. Guys, our good news segment is to bring you some good news every morning, not only to brighten your day while you're getting ready for your day, brushing your teeth, and heading out the door, but also to give you kind of like a fun fact, a topic that you could walk in and share with a colleague that you're striving to build a stronger relationship with. You could bring it to your students that you're going to see for a big discussion. I really love that we're able to kind of celebrate some good things going on. But Jeff, there's two segments, and the one that I thought would probably resonate better with our network that tunes in for Daily Drop-In every single morning at 7 Eastern is probably the NASA one, but the other one is about, I think, bourbon, and I thought that you'd really like that one. So maybe we'll talk both, but no.
I know. Is it okay? Can we give two? Are we like? Are you worried I'm going to give like too much good news, and everyone's going to be like, "Oh, I love Monday," and then it's going to ruin the Monday vibes?
I'm worried that we've.
I don't want Garfield getting mad or anything. So like,
I'm worried that we've been live for 13 minutes and mentioned alcohol twice because we're getting ready for our day and not ready to like it's 6 a.m. people. Like that's not the point of this.
Before we get into this, can we acknowledge Alex's comment that says, "I just want to pause and acknowledge that Jeff has been downgraded from co-host to guest." And Alex, I mean, I think you already know this is kind of how it goes. I've been expecting it for a while. I'm just glad it's still guest and not like annoyance or pest.
Guy who showed up.
Guy who showed up. All right, so let's talk about bourbon again.
No. We're talking about NASA first. Here's what I thought was
NASA first. Okay.
I think this would be a really, really, really great article to bring to whatever student clientele you have. And actually, if you guys don't mind, we'd love to hear from you. We're already seeing some great comments that always say good morning. You guys always make us so happy. Tell us what you teach, like what age group you teach, because I think that you could do this regardless of the age group that you work with. The headline for this article is NASA helps firefighters by sending pictures from the International Space Station to show key spots of the moving wildfires in California.
Oh, wow. Oh, that's, jeez.
Yeah, so I'm going to just summarize this article. You guys should go read it. There's incredible statistics, and the pictures are cool. I think this would be a really great article to pull up for someone to actually visually see if you were going to discuss this further. But essentially, from the International Space Station, they're able to see the heat waves from the fires. And so they're taking photos and sending them to the fire departments along the coast of California to start to hopefully stop the spread of these wildfires that are completely destroying the area. And so they're using not only technology from space to take the pictures, but then sending them back in real time to have some authentic dialogue around how to kind of like support the solution for these wildfires. I thought that was so interesting.
That's really, really cool. It sucks of why they have to do that, but the fact that we have that technology to just try to get a little more of an advantage over all the fires that are going on, that's crazy.
Yeah.
And there's so you talk about, utilize that in class, like there's so much there because it's NASA and space and the technology and that it's different departments and different people working together, but it's also talking about the fact that we have these things going on, all these fires going on in California. I was talking to somebody the other day who lives out in British Columbia, who's also, they're getting all that too right now. And it's just this weird moment where I'm like, yeah, in Ohio, like, I just like, you don't even think about the fact like that's going on right now. Like, it's not like it's stopping overnight. It's just constantly going, and it's nuts how much it is consuming. So,
well, and from the science and social studies lens, and that's why I really love these photos. There's so much that you can look into in terms of geography or how the image is created based on the heat. There's like 6 or 7 images, even just that I'm looking at of different parts of where the wildfires are located. They're all color coded with their heat signatures, all different patterns. I mean, it's a devastating issue that they are going through right now, and the fact that they are not only doing the best they can from the ground and from the air, and helicopters and everything else they're using to stop the spread, to be able to know that, first of all, you can see the heat signatures from space, which is insane. And then second of all, that we can use that technology to better educate ourselves and how we find a solution here on the ground. I mean, that is a whole slew of dialogue that we could have there.
I gotta say, I think it's really, really cool, very, very interesting, but I'm not sure that qualifies as good news because we're still talking about about wildfires that are destroying California right now.
Wait, but you don't see the good news in being able to have these two departments find a solution together, like work in tandem?
The good news and the fact that the fire is so big and so hot that you can see it from space? No, I don't see the good news in that.
Whoa!
I think it's cool and interesting, but it's still like I think if we're talking about bourbon, we're talking much more cool. Like for instance, where is it? Charles mentioning that he found the Knob Creek smoked maple bourbon. Like, that's good news. I don't know. We use the word devastating way too much in this good news story, in my opinion.
Guys, I'm so sorry.
I mean, I don't want to come. I apologize, everyone. To come on here as the guest and to try and think I have a say in anything is my mistake, and I will go back to my coffee.
Guys, I just thought it was good news that they are like, this article's all focused on not only the science, but the fact that these two departments are working together. I thought it was the coolest thing ever. I don't know.
It is good news that I know where I get it.
This one was not what I was going to share, but I will say, just for the sake of mentioning it, our good news article last week, one of them was about Walmart supporting college tuition. Target offered debt-free degrees as well. So there's a lot of continuous good news going on around that story. Okay, this is what my question was, which I don't think is appropriate for a daily drop in good news. But now that we've
mentioned bourbon like 6 times, I think we're past appropriate.
Okay, I also don't know if this is bourbon. Oh, it's a whiskey. Is that the same? I know it's
bourbon's a whiskey, yeah.
I mean,
bourbon's a whiskey.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I don't know how to pronounce this whiskey. I don't think, but it's Glenfiddich.
I don't know.
It's a really popular whiskey, and I knew that already. I just don't know how to say it.
Just say how you think you say it.
Glenfiddich, but there's no way you say it that way.
That sounds great. We'll go with that.
Okay. Anyway. So here's what I thought was interesting. And this is, I don't know how you bring this up. Maybe if you teach like older students, this would be appropriate because it's a really interesting article. But this distillery that makes whiskeys launched a new fleet of trucks, which by the way are very attractive. Shout out to those designers. And the truck runs on the waste that they create in the distillery.
Oh, that's cool.
So it's super cool. So I know that we're talking about like alcohol, and you wouldn't necessarily bring this up. And I know like the first grade classroom that Brianne works in. But what I thought it was really interesting with like the renewable energy, it's not just renewable energy, but it's waste that they're creating.
Yeah, they're using the byproduct of their work to create,
to fuel the truck. So anyway, this was
that's actually, so you can actually bring this up in a lot of ways because you don't have to focus on the fact that it's bourbon. You could actually talk about that and talk about how bourbon needs the alcohol and you don't do that until we're 21, whatever. But talking about that's a big thing in manufacturing is when you can use the byproduct of your manufactured goods to create and either create other goods or sell other goods or whatever. Or in this case, ship your goods. Like that's a really cool part. So then you can get into economics on there and your bottom line and your net and stuff, and then also in the renewable energies. Like there's a ton out of that. See, now that's good news.
It is good news. I didn't mean to diminish. See, we gave you
the equivalent would have been like, this was really cool, but they discovered it because the bourbon factory exploded and killed 38 families. Like that's how like I wanna. But that's really cool. That's neat. So they're using the. Did they say, does it break down like what part of like what waste it is that they're using?
It does in the article. So you guys could go check that out. From what I understand, it's something related to the CO2 that's displaced during the process.
And they're using that as the fuel.
Yes. And again, I think that there's a lot of improvements that we need to make in this area. And I don't know how progressive this is. Although to me, I just thought it was amazing that they are really focusing on the environmental impact, and their focus with that is to use a byproduct of what they are currently producing. I just think that is such an incredible.
Yeah, well, because now instead of their manufacturing of bourbon using natural resources and creating waste of its own, it's supporting itself, which and potentially maybe creating a whole nother revenue stream that could help support others and stuff. That's really cool. And back to the Walmart piece, I saw the Target one come out. What's great about that is that Walmart is a big enough company, has enough eyes on it, gets enough criticism that when they do something good, it typically does that. It triggers a reaction for other companies to do it, especially if they have any competition at all with Walmart, which Amazon and Target are the two biggest that even have a chance, right? So that's really cool. It makes me think that you're going to start seeing that more and more. Interested to see if Amazon does that or not. I'm not sure if Bezos will do that. He might need to go to space again, so they might not be able to afford that. I don't know, but that's cool.
I will say that I know that we're going to move on to our next segment here in a second, but that really does add a whole nother element to being able to do something that positively impacts somebody else. That it's not just the one moment where you're able to make a decision to impact somebody else, but the opportunity to also have the influence, have the inspirational effect on others, to then see that also happen in other ways. That's a huge. I think that's awesome. That's kind of in my mind the ideal.
And there's a trickle down, that actually works. There is that if Walmart does it, other companies can no longer compare themselves to Walmart in a way of, well, Walmart treats their employees XYZ bad, so we're better than them, and we're little guys, and so with that. A lot of people complain about Walmart, but like, there's a reason why Walmart doesn't have unions and because they do everything that unions would require. They already do it. They do require breaks. They do require retirement. They do require health insurance. It just takes a while to get there. Everyone just gets mad because they make so much freaking money. Which is a whole other story. But I love the fact that they're doing the tuition now, because they're recognizing, like, I think our story on last Monday was we touched about McDonald's. Like, Walmart's recognizing that too. And I think, who was on with you, Dave, when you guys talked about this?
It was on Friday.
Mention that, like, Walmart recognizes that they're not the last stop for most of their employees. Right. They're a part-time job or a first job or a college job. So why not lean into that? Right. There's nothing wrong with that. That's great. So.
No, it's super good. I'm glad that we were able to bring you guys a variety of good news options.
Variety of stories today.
Yeah, we're going to give you all the options. We actually have some comments at least saying that this was an interesting conversation. So we may not have lifted people's spirits, but who knows? No,
but I do think, Charles again brings up a great point. He thinks that we should all do our part helping the bourbon story by purchasing and consuming whiskeys and bourbons to help fuel the economy, the trucks.
Ladies
so
and
moving forward from he's a smart guy. I just want to make sure that we're acknowledging him in the comments and stuff.
I just want to make sure our legal team knows here at the Teach Better team, we are not encouraging drinking on Monday morning at 6 a.m. But
you guys know we're not saying like that people should drink, especially like at school, right? Yeah, they're good. They're good. They said it's cool. No worries.
I appreciate that. For the rest of you that are here that are hopefully enjoying your cup of coffee that is waking you up for the day and getting ready for not only the great conversation apparently you can expect from this show for the next 30 minutes, but also the start to your week, we'll be right back with our brainstorm bank. All right, you guys already know how this works. We are taking your questions, whether it be live in the comments or over at teachbetter.com/brainstormbank. The intention behind this segment is to just ensure that we are always here to answer your questions. So regardless if your question pops into your mind at 7 a.m. and you have to know the answer, or if you are in the middle of your lunch or in your afternoon later today and you think of a problem that you are looking to have somebody brainstorm alongside you, please feel free to bring it to Daily Drop-In, because we will always be here just to be your partners and trying to find a solution. I will tell you, Jeff, before we get into this segment, as our questions start to come in the comments, I selfishly wanted to ask you about your weekend, because I feel like I haven't talked to you in like a whole week. I know it hasn't been that long, but we haven't caught up.
It's been at least 2 days.
At least 2 days.
At least 2 days over the weekend, right?
How are you? How was your weekend?
My weekend was good. We had a good weekend. We I don't know what we did this weekend. We had a good weekend. Jacqueline and I went to Target again on Saturday, because that's what Jacqueline does. She just wants to go and look around. Typically wants to buy something for someone else. So we bought some stuff. We bought the dog a new bed. Oh. And then we went for a run. She wanted on the way home. She's like, I want to go for a run with you. I'm like, all right. Because every time I go for a run recently, she's been like, oh, I wanted to go. I'm like, well, should have said something. So we went for a run. She ran 0.67 miles with me. Ooh. Just shy of a mile. And then she said she was too hot. It was like 84 or running. It was hot. She said she was hot. So she went in and she actually went another like 0.15 or something on the treadmill inside, I guess. And I went for a longer run. But yeah, so that was fun. We went out and saw my parents and cousins and stuff safely yesterday at my parents. And I built Amy a pantry, like a freestanding pantry for all of her cupcake stuff. So that was fun, because I like when I get to do handyman stuff. Now, about halfway through, 3/4 way through, I realized I made a mistake. I messed up part of it. And I got really upset. And Amy's like, what can I do? Because she saw I was frustrated. I'm like, you can turn the other way while I smash this entire thing with a hammer. What? And then I took a couple breaths and I didn't do it. But that's where I was at. But it was fine. I fixed it. It was fine. I didn't actually fix the mistake I made, but I made the mistake I made work. Kind of like using the waste produced by my product as a byproduct and fuel my trucks. And it was good. And so got it done. It's loaded. It's got a ton of space. So she's going to be able to put all of her cupcake stuff in there, and not the sprinkles and stuff, because it's out in the 3-season room. So it's going to get hot. But like she has all kinds of storage containers and trays and a billion of those like paper cups that they go in and stuff. So that was fun.
I guess I don't understand. Are cupcakes coming my way in the future? Are they in the mail? Where are we at?
You're going to have to reach out and ask. I'm pretty sure she can have them come your way, like she does them all the time. So
she is. I know she's making cupcakes every day.
You'll appreciate this. So Amy's brother, my brother-in-law Kevin, is a sergeant for the police department that takes care of Akron Children's Hospital. And they have K-9 unit, and one of their K-9 units, who's been there forever, I think she's in her like last year of service, had a birthday. Mm. And so Amy made like 100 cupcakes for them, not for the dog, obviously, but they celebrated this dog's birthday. It was crazy. Mm. So like that's the kind of stuff she does. So
I love that stuff. You have the best wife. Amy's the best. And I mean, I'm glad that the kids are doing well. I'm glad that the puppy's doing well. And I'm glad that you helped Amy with housing all her baking stuff, because I think she needs to go pro and get cupcakes for everybody. I think
working on it.
Start with an Amy cupcake.
So she actually that was actually her first paid gig, where we made a couple bucks off that.
There we go.
Not a whole lot. It was pretty good priced. But come on.
I like the hustle. It's good. Why not?
I've been working on it. So this is part of it now. We still have to get our second kitchen, because that's what we're going to really need.
Oh, yeah. Let's just write that down as a goal for next week, for sure.
So put it in over here.
Yep. Totally.
I don't know.
Totally fine.
How was your weekend?
My weekend was epic. I got through a bucket list item this weekend, so that was kind of big for me.
Meeting Chris Madsen in person?
I did get to meet Chris Madsen, our member of the Teach Better team. If you guys are listeners to the Teach Better Talk podcast, which, by the way, has the daily drop-in episodes every single day as well, Teach Better Talk podcast is edited by the amazing Chris Madsen. And I went to the Dave Matthews Band concert on Saturday, and he was there. And let me tell you, Jeff, I wasn't planning on seeing Chris because if you remember, I only bought Dave Matthews Band concerts.
Because Chris said he was going.
Yeah, inspiration. Chris said he was going to be there, but he bought tickets for like Thursday or Friday. So when I bought tickets, I bought them for Saturday night. So it was his inspiration, but I didn't think I was going to see him. And him and his wife had such a good time. They bought tickets for Saturday too. Yeah. So I texted him and I was like, oh, thanks for the inspiration. He's like, I'm here. Can we meet up? I'm like, shut up. I get to meet him in person. It's great. It's great.
I love it.
Yeah. So much fun. So I had a great time at a Dave Matthews Band concert in Chicago. It was, I did really want to go to that. That was kind of a bucket list item for me. So it was super fun. And I went with my mother. So it was great.
Brianne Fennell says, Teach Better cupcakes for the conference. So much green icing.
That's a great idea. Hey, Jeff, when is the Teach Better conference?
I don't know, sometime next year. Fall 2022 at some point. Hopefully those details are coming very soon. Yeah. So, can I just Brianne, I appreciate you giving a shout out that I did more buying random teachers supply on Twitter. That is like one of the funnest things I've done. I've done it. It's been like 3 different days that I've done it now. It's a lot of fun. Like,
so just tell us a little about this, because if you're listening on the podcast and you can't see the comment.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah. So
are you gonna read that comment? Is that your plan?
Yeah. So Brianne says, can we add the good news that Jeff is doing awesome things by helping with Clear the List on Twitter? So about 2 weeks ago, I just did it randomly because I saw people sharing things. I didn't realize like Clear the List was a hashtag or anything. And I just jumped on like 2 or 3 lists and went and bought them, a pack of crayons or a pack of markers or whatever, and just went and like, once they got them, they knew they saw that came from me. So they sent me a note back, on Amazon. I was like, oh, that's a lot of fun. So then I just two Mondays ago, I just tweeted out, I said, buying school supplies for random teachers on Twitter again today. Retweet this with your list. Cause my thought was, okay, well, I'll buy a few things, but also hopefully if we get a whole bunch of people retweeting and sharing stuff, more and more people will see these lists and whatever. Yeah. So I ended up buying quite a few because it was going crazy. And then Amy told me that I could go ahead and spend more than we should have on it. And I had just a blast. So I did it again on Friday. I put it out. And so all weekend I had to go back and was like answering DMs and dropping lists and stuff. And now I need a raise.
Well, I will approve you for a raise if it's because you're supporting teachers getting back to the classroom.
Here's the best part is that I've gotten a whole bunch of DMs of other people who are not teachers who give me some form of like, hey, saw that you're doing this. I know you work with like I knew them from my business or whatever. And they're like, hey, I just went and did three lists and bought some money. I could only spend $50. I'm like, dude, you spent 50. That's awesome. Like you didn't even know these people. So that was really cool. So it's fun. I know Bree's been doing a lot of that too. Bree's on several times on Facebook. I've seen her comment asking people to share a Clear List and do it stuff. So it's just fun.
Kind of like the conversation we had with Walmart and Target in our good news segment, that you're trying to do something good for other people. And hopefully by sharing that you're doing this, other people have also chosen to hop on the bandwagon and help out. I mean, this is something that happens not only every single year, but the entire year. Educators are always looking for supplies to be able to serve their students. And so if you're able to help, like shout out to all those people out there donating even just $1 to help a teacher in their classroom. It's amazing.
My hope is that like on November 5th or something, like some random day, I'm going to do it again. You should. When they're like, and then teachers will be like, oh crap, I didn't get my list up. I got to get a new list. And then hopefully that'll work. So
well, between that and Donors Choose, there's a lot out there. Yes. So I'm a huge fan. Alex wants to know, can you give yourself a raise? Are you that important that you can do that at the Teach Better team, or do you need approval?
Alex says, isn't Jeff the CFO? Well, clearly mistaken, Alex. Ray is clearly the CFO.
I'm not the CFO.
I am not allowed to give myself a raise. No, that's not how that works. It has to be approved by a few other people.
Jeez.
I know.
I will say
I can give most other people raises, just not myself.
Yeah, there's a system there for sure.
There's checks and balances in place there.
I would not want to be the CFO. That sounds too challenging. There's a lot of money numbers and percentages and
we just don't have one.
We don't. Yeah.
We just swing it. Swing it.
Yeah, it's fine. My title just changed, so I'm not CFO.
You have like the coolest title ever. I'm so jealous of your title now. So you're Chief Experience Officer, which means you're CXO, which I'm like, I don't know why, but I'm just like, yeah, I don't know.
I feel like there's some power with that. It should be cool.
Yeah, I don't even know. I don't like my title anymore. Like I want something different.
But you're the coup.
I know. But like I've realized that like coup is cool and stuff, but it's like not quite cool. Like I'm not quite cool. I'm almost cool. I'm like 3/4 of the way to cool, but I'm like
you would be
25% shy of being cool.
You'd be more cool than X. Absolutely. That's really super cool. Yeah. Anyway, I do have a question for you, Jeff, because it's kind of relates to what we were discussing. But when I saw this,
are we on questions? So I meant to ask you this right off the bat, and I forgot. And I apologize. What's the website that I go to submit questions? Because we didn't say that yet.
We did at the very beginning, but again, teachbetter.com/brainstormbank. You can submit questions at any time and we'll discuss them. Jeff, as I was in a conversation yesterday, I thought of you because the text messages back and forth was with an educator who was headed back, obviously, to school today, but they were feeling Sunday jitters. And I think that when educators feel Sunday jitters, typically it's like this feeling of, wait, I don't want to go to work, right? And we've had that dialogue, you and me. On Sunday, you should be excited to go to work on Monday. And if you're dreading it, then are you really, doing the right thing to fuel you? And I will tell you that the dialogue yesterday was really interesting. I wish you had been a part of it, which is why I wanted to get your opinion here. I think the jitters were coming from a good place. I think that this educator was saying, okay, I'm kind of nervous to go back, but I'm also excited to go back. And in some regard, it seemed like the jitters was further emphasizing their passion for wanting to do well as they got started in their year today. Can you speak to a little bit about that?
Well, yeah, I think, when we talk about it before, it's when jitters are fine. Like you should have, in fact, if you don't have jitters, you probably shouldn't be a teacher anymore. I said that the other day. Like if you're not anxious, like good anxious, not like, maybe what I'm looking for is nervous, not anxious. Nervous, I think, is where I want to go. Like if you're not nervous and excited, like and feeling some sort of jitter, sure, then you're probably not that excited about what you're going to do. Like mm-hmm. I always reckon, like when you're going to perform on stage, like or something like that. I mean, back when I was younger and much cooler, before I was cool, I had the cool, and I performed in bands. Like I played a lot of shows, and I never, like in my 5 years of playing every single weekend, I was always nervous to a point like you couldn't talk to me before a show. But as soon as I got on, it was fine. Just like the teacher is going to be fine. As soon as she gets in the classroom, she's going to be okay. That's good. You should have that. When we talk other things, when you dread it. If you're dreading it right now, if you haven't seen your students all summer and you are like dreading and hating the idea of getting up on Monday, you need to put in your resume and go do something else. Or put in your resume, turn in your what is it? Pink slip? What do you put in? Resignation? Yeah. And go somewhere else. If you have the jitters, that's great. You should be nervous. Yeah. It's you have a really important job, a very difficult job during a still very difficult and unknown and unusual crazy year. Mm-hmm. Like, yeah, there should be a little bit of jitters going on, but hopefully it's excited jitters.
Yeah, hopefully right? Jitters knowing that good things are coming and that as those good things are coming, you want to be successful in that. I mean, anytime we are pursuing something that we want to be successful in, being nervous is totally appropriate. It's okay to be nervous. It's actually, I think, telling, like you were saying, if you're not nervous, I think it's good to be excited for the year. It's good to be excited to see your colleagues. It's great to be excited to see your students. There's also some nerves with that. We all want to do well. We all want to be successful. We all want to be prepared. And so I think that having Sunday jitters or Wednesday jitters, depending on when you're heading back to school within the next 4 weeks, I think it tells you that you're doing things well. I think it tells you you're doing something right.
Yeah. And I think I want to clarify. I said if you don't have the jitters, you should probably get another job. If you're super calm and relaxed, that's okay too, but you should be at least excited. Like you might not refer to that as a jitter, but like you should be excited to get up and like anxious and pumped for like, I can't sleep tonight, like before Christmas, at least a little bit. Yeah. Now, if you're 20 years in and it's just like, if you're you're fine, you're good, then like you might not be as crazy. If you're like Bree, who she's looped, right? So she knows all of her students from last year, every other year, right? So she might be a little more calm because she knows the kids she's coming to and stuff. Like that's okay too, but you should be excited.
Yeah, like, I want to clarify.
You should be excited.
I mean, the classroom is a place that I frequent. I have jitters every year. I mean, I don't think that when you're 20 years in, those jitters go away. I mean,
but I'm saying that if you're
different
someone who
focus.
does, some people I'm sure right now are going, well, wait a minute, I'm calm, cool, and collected. Am I not? Should I not be a teacher anymore? Like, no, like it's okay to be calm, cool.
Well, yeah, your statement was a little dramatic, but we love
I
you
know.
who you are. So it's
I'm
okay.
dramatic.
Yeah. No, I think it's exciting. I'm really thrilled that schools are back in session. I'm thrilled that teachers are getting ready for their classrooms. And guys, this is the time to not only celebrate educators, but also make sure that you are talking up the work that you're doing to your communities. I know that I could get on a soapbox right now, and I don't want to necessarily to bore you this morning, but people don't know all that teachers do. And this is a prime time as we have all of our eyes on educators as we all head back to school, whether we're sending our students or we're going back ourselves. And I think that while you should be excited, you should be doing your best work, and we should be celebrating that back to school is here. Make sure that you don't hide all the work that goes into that. Make sure you don't hide the need for people to help you with your Donors Choose project because you're funding it yourself. It's good for people to be aware that it takes hours and hours and hours to get your classroom ready to celebrate your students, and make sure that people understand that the time that you're putting in is because you want to do well for students, because teachers deserve to be recognized for the work that they're doing. But the first way that you get recognized is by sharing what should be recognized. So don't be silent. Continue to celebrate in your excitement and all your jitters, and make sure that you are, bringing up in conversation with people who may not be educators, all the exciting work that you're doing, because it is something worth celebrating.
Agreed.
Hey, Jeff, we have a full week ahead of us, not only as educators in our network get ready for the year, but also just to celebrate that Daily Drop-In is back, and we continue to be here to share some inspiration, support, and also connect you with new people. Should we get into kind of getting ready for our upcoming week?
Yeah, let's look at the week.
All right, let's look at the week. So this week not only has incredible guests, but we also have a really great topic that aligns perfectly with the jitter conversation.
Okay. What's the topic?
So the overall topic's on communication. And I did want to get your thoughts on that, Jeff, because communication, whether it be with other colleagues or stakeholders or leadership, is essential at the back to school time, especially to our parents. We want to make sure that we are constantly communicating, whether you're in a leadership role in education or a classroom teacher. You need to communicate what's going on, what's expected to all those involved. So we're going to be talking about communication all week long, tips and tricks for communication, but also strategies that you could implement today or tomorrow to help you with your communication. Jeff, I won't lie to you. I think the most common compliment that people tell me about you when they're trying to tell me how wonderful Jeff Gargas is your dedication to communication, to be honest. Like, people tell me, whether they're members of our team or other people that are connected with you on social media, talk all the time about how you're kind of like, I'm like butting you up, but you're kind of the best boss. Like, you really care about people and you care a lot about clear communication. Can you share one tip to kind of start off our week as we're focusing on communication?
Communicate a lot.
Oh, okay. Wait, elaborate on that.
I was trying to think. I'm like, all right, I don't know. Communicate a lot. I'm speaking less from I guess I'll speak both from a boss standpoint, but also from a parent with kids.
Yeah.
As a parent who cares about my kids' education, you can't communicate with me enough. Our teachers do an awesome job here in Stowe communicating. I'm always like, you need to tell me more and more often, because I want to know constantly what's going on. That's the same reason why I'm like, is it weird that I don't know what my kid's schedule is like yet and stuff? Like, I wish we would have got an email to send out that says, hey, everything's cool. You're going to find out on this day. Like, so I know, but right now I don't know. I found out because someone else found out, because someone else found out, because someone else, and I'm in a Facebook group. And I'm like, that's not how I should ever find out anything ever. I should always find out from my school. Same thing from a leadership standpoint. Your team, you should never find out from another source. They should find out from you, or whatever the pattern of communication is within your organization. But when it comes to parents, I think the more the better, and understanding how they want to be communicated to versus how you want to communicate or how you think you should communicate. I think that's super important. We've been doing a lot with the team of trying to figure out, like, what's the best way for Jeff and Ray to say all these things that we have to say to our team, who already have so much going on. Because, as you know, like, a good majority of our team are classroom teachers, so they already have that going, especially right now, right? Like, do they really need another thing to read? But we have things that we have to share. So focusing on how they want communicated, potentially when and where, meaning what platform, and then, but I just don't think you can communicate enough. We talked a lot about that during this past year with so many things changes and so many unknowns, and there's still quite a few unknowns right now. Communicating as much as possible is really, really, really important, I think, because they need to know that if they hear something that you're the source, versus if they got to wait 2 weeks to hear from you, they're going to listen to all the other sources, and then your communication isn't necessarily going to hit at that point. So
absolutely. Jeff, I think I would normally wait to give this tip later this week, because we're going to obviously be talking about communication all week long, and we'll preview some of the guests that will be joining us this week. But I want to give you credit, because I learned this from you, and I really think it enhanced my communication style, especially with parents that I had when I had students in the classroom, but also just in communication in general. So your tip so far is communicate frequently, and you should understand how your audience likes to consume information and when they like to consume information. So that might mean an email, social media. It might mean that they prefer it in the morning versus the afternoon. That's all good data to collect, so you can know your audience, right? Regardless of who your audience is, whether they be students or parents or leadership or teachers or anything else. One thing I really appreciate about you, and again, you truly taught me this, which is why I want to bring it up, is that when you communicate often, sometimes, like, I vividly remember last year communicating with parents that they were like, oh, I've gotten so many emails. Like, they're inundated with communication. And I remember having conversations on Daily Drop-In last year as we were kicking off the year, where parents were like, you're communicating too much. Like, trying to find that balance was hard. I will tell you, Jeff, one of the best elements that you have taught me in terms of communication is that when you're communicating frequently, obviously that balance is important. But what makes the conversation overwhelming when parents are being inundated with emails is that every email has a different piece of communication, different element of communication. So the parent feels obligated when they've received 5 emails in the past few days to make sure that they read each and every email, and they're concerned if they missed one, then they missed a key element of communication. Something that you are very, very intentional with, especially when it comes to communication about events, is that every next email should include the previous details from the last conversation. Meaning that if I email out a piece of information that I want parents to know, the next email that goes out might have new information in it, but then maybe at the bottom or in a later paragraph, it says, hey, this information's still the same. Nothing's changed with these details. But in case you hadn't read that last email, I'm just going to continue to paste kind of like old information that's still relevant to the bottom of this email. So regardless of which email you open, you have all the details. Does that make sense? Can you tell us a little bit more about that? Because truly, you're great at that.
Yeah, I think you nailed it pretty good there. I mean, it's that worry of, well, did I miss something? Am I missing things? Whatever. And also just an easy reference. So it's like the most recent thing has everything you need. So a lot of times in stuff, when I send out an email, I'll literally, like, you can literally just straight up say, like, everything below here you already got. So if you read my last email, ignore it.
Right.
Like, and you can also have an email that starts that way. That literally says, if you open my last email, you can ignore this one. I'm just making sure you have it, so they know right away. Okay, I'm done. I'm out. I'm gone. And I think that's super important. I talked about it a lot during this last year, because of so many things changing all the time. The consistency schedule. I think we were talking more precisely with leadership communicating to teachers in the classroom of all the changes, as if your audience, whether that's your teachers, your parents, your students, whatever, know that on every day, and it can be multiple times a week if you want, you're going to communicate in this way. It's an email, it's whatever. Then they know that's when the information's coming. And they know that if something's changing, that you're going to find out on that day. And if you build that right and that trust right, then they know all that other stuff they hear. I'm waiting for Thursday at 4, because that's when Miss Hughart sends out that update, and I'm going to see if that thing was on her list or not. My thing is, during this last year, that probably should have been happening 2 to 3 times a week, just because stuff was changing so constantly.
Right.
You can probably this year might still honestly be the same, depending on if mandates come down or stuff like that. But yeah, I think it's twofold. It's the making sure that I know when I get that I have everything I need, and I can go find it super easy.
Right.
I've got it all in there.
You know that if you go to the most recent email, you'll have all the information versus you guys all have done it where we're like hunting through our inbox for that one email that had that one piece of information that we need. That's
yeah. So you type in your teacher's name and you get 38 emails. You're like, which one was it?
Yeah, exactly.
Because I forget what the title was or whatever. Like, what was the? But if I know that it's going to be, it's going to be there. So that's the same thing. Sorry, that's the same thing. Like I think you probably did this with your classroom. Like if you have classroom like resource sites and stuff like that, that should just always be on your email somewhere at the bottom. Yeah. Right.
Always. So just link anything relevant. Right. And I really love the idea again. Jeff just gave you that tip. Share your email, whatever you need to say, just do a line and say everything below here is the most pertinent information that might be relevant to you right now. If you've read any emails, you already know this already. But if you want to double check that you have all the information, see below. And, Jeff, it's funny. You and I have done a lot of training together this summer with a variety of different groups, some of which were even in our network. We did some exclusive trainings for our podcast network and our speakers network and everything in between. And something that was very commonly asked, and you and I kind of created this summer joke, is how often should I blank, right? Like how often should I post on social media? How often should I update my parents? How often should I promote my book? How often should like all these different things? And we had some really great dialogue with truly a wide variety of audiences. How often do I? And our joke every time. Do you remember our joke, Jeff Gargas?
It's consistently.
Now,
I would say, though, however, when it comes to communicating with your parents and or with your teachers as a leader, I think I would put consistently and constantly, just because of what we already talked about.
Yep.
But consistency is really if you're sending your parents, 2 emails a week for the first 3 weeks, and then you don't email them for 4 weeks, they're going to wonder what's going on. Potentially, if they care, they're going to wonder what's going on. And let me just say, the people that get annoyed by you, they don't care. That's why it's annoying to them. I hate to say that. That's a broad brush. I get it. But like, if they care, like, it's not hard to ignore an email.
You just delete it.
Or just don't look at it, right? Yeah. But if I care, like, do you know what I mean? Like, so if I'm someone who cares, I'm going to do it. From someone who doesn't care, I'm just not going to read it. There's no harm, no foul. If I don't like you, oh well, probably not going to come in anyway.
Jeff has had some really interesting one-liners on this Daily Drop-In. I'm going to coach him a little bit before next week, because you guys know that Jeff Gargas will join Daily Drop-In every single Monday, except for next week, because Jeff, I think you and I are together next week. We're not on Daily Drop-In. We're
not on Daily Drop-In next Monday?
No, next week it's Dave and Katie, I think, because you and I were supposed to be together, and then our plans changed. So now I guess we're not together.
You're going to be busy being in front of a whole bunch of teachers, though, huh?
I will. I get to do a kickoff for a school district on Monday. I feel like that's what my exciting news is of the week, that this week and next week in my calendar are full of district kickoff celebrations. I'm really excited for that.
Yeah, that's super cool. Can we just, I want to highlight this real quick. Andrea says, in the absence of communication, people make up their own story. And that reminds me of our good friend Joe Sanfilippo, who's an incredible superintendent up in Wisconsin.
Yep.
Yeah. And the Fighting Crickets, if I remember correctly. And he says that all the time. Like he does that about you just sharing your story. Like if you don't, people make up their own version of the story for you. It's the same thing if I'm a concerned parent and a news story dropped or something happened and I'm wondering or I'm thinking or I got a weird piece of information. I start creating my own narrative, which might not be good for you as a teacher. So if you're not communicating with me, that's going to fester and fester and go and potentially spiral out of control to the point where it doesn't matter what you say, it's lost. And so consistent, constant communication can help take care of that.
We're going to be talking all week long on communication with all of our guests that will be joining us this week. We want to make sure that you not only have a philosophy on how much you want to communicate, really talking about that top level of why we should communicate and options of how you can communicate, but also those really, really specific tactical takeaways that you can implement later today or tomorrow or next week to make sure that your communication is up to speed. I know last week we focused a lot on another theme. You're going to notice that every single week we're going to have a theme to make sure that you are constantly supported, which is what Daily Drop-In is all about. This week, we have a number of people joining us. Obviously, Jeff has been a part of kicking off our morning together. Tomorrow is the almighty Katie Miglin. So there's going to be some fun shenanigans. I won't lie to you guys. I've taught with Katie Miglin for years, and I know her communication is not only going to be really, really wonderful this year, but she is full of tips and tricks. I cannot wait to get into that with her. We then have Brad Hughes joining us on Wednesday as a fun feature, although Brad will become a staple on our show starting in a few weeks on Fridays. He wanted to be part of a Wednesday, so we're going to open that up and let him come join us. We have Holly Stewart joining us as well, and then we are ending our week talking about communication with Dr. Neil Gupta, one of our favorites on our
What a lineup this week. Wow.
No, it's going to be epic.
Man, Holly and Dr. Gupta?
I know.
By the way, if you think there isn't going to be some bourbon talk on Friday, you're mistaken.
I know. Neil's the best. I cannot wait to welcome in all these different members from our Teach Better team. We talked about, we have team members coming in, we have mastermind mentors coming in, we have speakers network coming in, we have ambassadors coming in. Daily Drop-In is going to be so much fun and just continue as we kick off our second week. Jeff, we are going to get in the habit of ending our Mondays with you and I together with a little bit of a challenge for the week, something to keep in mind, something that our audience can do throughout the week, whether it be like an actionable step that they should take or just something that they should chew on and think about throughout the week. I know Dave kind of gave us a weekend challenge that I hope a lot of you took advantage of. But Jeff, will you give us one that we can think through, kind of implement as we continue and get started for our Monday?
I'm going to challenge us all to think through and either plan or revise or reconfirm our communication plan. Ooh. Whether that is to your students, your parents, to your leadership, or to the people that you lead, whatever it is. If you've already planned it out, reflect on it, revise it maybe, or just reconfirm that it's the best. If you haven't, commit to laying it out and getting it ready to put in place or putting it in place right away. So that's my challenge.
I love it. We're going to have a lot of tips and tricks to help you bring that to fruition throughout the week. But I love the concept of, before we really get into communication on this Monday morning, we want you to think about what you already have in place, what you already have set up, and do some reflection. I think that's a great strategy to kick off our Monday. Thanks, Jeff.
Oh, you're welcome. I do what I can.
I know you and I both have a very full day ahead. A lot of educators here are ending their summers or headed back into the classroom. We hope that you continue to share with us how things are going, not only your lists of things that you need so that we can be sharing that with a wider audience, but also those fun photos, Jeff. All the photos are going to come of classroom set up and name tags. And oh my God, I cannot wait for open house and back to school stuff. So make sure that you are not only celebrating the work that you're doing, but also celebrating the really wonderful things that people are doing around you. There are a lot of principals, a lot of superintendents right now preparing for their message back to their staff, back to their districts. And we should be sharing not only the messages that they are celebrating, but also how wonderful they are as leaders. So let's use the next few weeks to celebrate the incredible people in the Teach Better Network. And we'll be back here tomorrow for the Daily Drop-In at 7 a.m.
Love it.
You ready to go, Jeff?
Yep. Have an awesome day. Appreciate y'all.
All right. Wait. Last sip of coffee. Cheers, friends. We appreciate you. Have a good day.